What is going on, guys? We're back with more picks and predictions. I did miss making this video last weekend, so sorry about that. But, this week we got a poverty fight night in the Apex. Josh Emmett versus Kevin Vallejos. Pretty mid-card. The Paramount era might be the end of the UFC. Who knows? But, in the meantime, I'll be breaking these cards down, finding the right spot. So without further ado, let's jump right into the picks and predictions for UFC Vegas 114. Kicking things off, we're going to break down Josh Emmett versus Kevin Vallejos first. That's how we do it here. We're going to start with the main event, go all the way to the first fight on the early prelims. So if you are a hardcore, want another prediction for Pierre Rodriguez versus Sam Hughes, stick around. But in the meantime, let's talk about Josh Emmett versus Kevin Vallejos first. And I got Vallejos here. He's a massive favorite. It's kind of hard to play him in this spot. I mean, Emmett obviously has big power. You know where you can get from Emmett. This is going to be a 5-round striking fight, or striking fight until there's a finish potentially. But Emmett's super durable. Vallejos, does have power and he is really sharp. But if Emmett survives all 5 rounds, are any of us really surprised? He did go, all the way to a decision with Ilia Topuria. So I'm gonna go with Vallejos by decision here. And maybe if you want to play it, Vallejos plus some sort of round over. And Vallejos is also patient, so I think like maybe over 1.5, over 2.5. Parlayed with Vallejos to win might make this like somewhat playable, but so far I don't have any action on this fight, but I'm pretty confident Vallejos gets it done. I do think he gets it done by decision though, so maybe if I do make a play, it'll just be Vallejos by decision, but so far I haven't played it. I do think Vallejos wins. Let's move on to the next matchup. Moving on to the next matchup, we got Lemos versus Gillian Robertson in the co-main event, and I'm going to go with Robertson to win this one by decision. Lemos is 38 years old. She's a veteran in this weight class. She's fought the who's who. She's coming with real good octagon experience, obviously, but this is a striker versus grappler matchup, and the takedown defense has always been one of Amanda's weaknesses, and Gillian Robertson is a very aggressive grappler. She's going to come in here with a strict game plan with a lot of wrestling. I think she's going to get a shit ton of control time on Lemos here. I just think the gap on the ground is too much between these two, and Gillian Robertson is going to be pretty disciplined in her game plan here. So give me Gillian Robertson to ride out a decision in this one. The line is fairly close, and I understand if you don't want to chalk women's MMA here, but I think Robertson is just simply the better grappler, and I think she does hold Lemos down. Even though Lemos has gotten better throughout her career in that aspect of the game, I just think that Gillian Robertson should be able to ride out a decision. So give me Robertson by decision. Let's move on to the next matchup. Moving on to the next matchup, we got Oumar Sy versus Ion Cutelaba, and dude, I low-key think Ion Cutelaba beats the shit out of Oumar Sy. And maybe I'm just like a little bit jaded because that Oumar Sy versus Alonzo Menefield fight just really made me think that Oumar Sy is not all that. But I just think Oumar Sy, I haven't seen him fight with real purpose, fight like a dog. And I've seen Ion Cutelaba do that. And I just don't like this matchup. I don't like the chalk on Oumar Sy here when I know Ion Cutelaba is going to get in his face. I know that Ion Cutelaba is probably the best grappler that Oumar Sy has fought so far in this scenario that, Oumar Sy is not going to be able to come here and do whatever he wants on the ground with Ion Cutelaba. Oumar Sy is normally used to, shooting some garbage-ass takedown, but his opponent not being good enough on the ground to kind of get it done. And, when he fought someone that has some decent experience in Alonzo Menefield, he lost. And, Ion Cutelaba has some real solid experience. Oumar Sy, like I said, has not fought with any purpose in the octagon since I've seen him. So give me Ion Cutelaba, man. I think Cutelaba is going to get in his face, turn this into an absolute dogfight, and I don't think Oumar Sy is built for a dogfight. So give me Ion Cutelaba to win this one by knockout. Let's move on to the next matchup. Moving on to the next matchup, we got Jose Delgado versus Andre Fili, and I'm going to keep this one pretty short. A very popular pick this week is going to be Jose Delgado, and something to maybe worry about if you're on the Vegas conspiracy theory side is that Jose Delgado is going to be in everyone's parlays. This guy should get a first round knockout here. He has an opponent that he's much better than. His opponent is 35 years old while he is a surging prospect, and he has real hands, real power versus someone who can be chinned. So I don't see why Jose Delgado doesn't go out here and just knock Andre Fili out within the first 2.5 minutes of this fight. But that being said, his line is surprisingly very playable. It opened very playable. Now it's, trickling towards that minus 400 range. And I think, if it closes around that range, it's probably where it should be. Maybe even minus 450. But, when it opened, this was super parlayable. So Jose Delgado is going to be on everyone's slips. I'm still going to keep him on my slip as well. He should win this fight. There's no reason for him not to win this fight. I do think there's value at where he is, at least where I got him. Like I said, I think it closes into the 400s, and as it should. So give me Jose Delgado to win this one by knockout. Let's move on to the next matchup. Moving on to the next matchup, we got Marwan Rahiki versus Harry Hardwick, and I'm going to go with Marwan Rahiki to get this one done. I think that, Harry Hardwick overall is a decent fighter. He had a tough UFC debut in Cowie Fernandez, who was very underrated, but he did get, TKO'd with calf kicks in that fight. The calf kick absolutely ruined him. And Rahiki is a very solid kickboxer, very fluid on the feet, can get extremely creative as well. He's fighting out of Australia. We know that Australia breeds some really technical and really sound kickboxers. So I'm going to go with Marwan Rahiki to win this one. I think that there is a world where Hardwick does survive, and maybe this fight does go, the distance, and Rahiki wins by decision. But Rahiki has power. Rahiki should be able to mix it up. I think he does get it done. Maybe it's a little bit chalky because this is his UFC debut. He only has 7 professional MMA fights under his belt. So, little experience. On top of that, this is his debut, but I think Hardwick is a winnable fight for him. Unless Hardwick maybe grapples, but I think this is primarily a striking fight between the two of these guys. So give me Marwan Rahiki to win this one. Let's move on to the next matchup. Moving on to the next matchup, we got Vitor Petrino versus Steven Asplund, and I'm going with Steven Asplund as an underdog in this matchup against Petrino. Now, Petrino is just a fighter that I don't like picking, so maybe there's a little bit of bias in this prediction, but overall, I've seen Petrino break inside the octagon before. I've seen him drop in round to Thomas Peterson, and to be honest, I think Steven Asplund starches Thomas Peterson just early in the first round. So, I'm going to take Steven Asplund to win this one. I don't think Petrino is nearly as good as advertised. I mean, everyone kind of knows that by now, that he's not as good as advertised early for sure. And, in the striking, I can see a moment where Asplund just kind of breaks Petrino, especially if this fight extends a bit. So I'm going to go with Steven Asplund here. He's going to be a little bit bigger. Of course, I think he's going to be slower, obviously, but he's going to have power. He's going to be able to put Petrino away if he can, survive early on in this fight. If he can survive some of the grappling as well from Petrino. So give me Steven Asplund to win this one, man. Steven Asplund's a big body, and he has heart for sure. We've seen that in his personal life as well. He had an insane, weight transformation. He's still a big guy, but he used to be, I think, like 500 pounds, something stupid like that. So Steven Asplund has heart. Vitor Petrino doesn't have heart, and that's why I'm going to pick Asplund here. Like I said, I think that Asplund is just going to be able to break him at some point in this fight. So give me Steven Asplund by knockout. Let's move on to the next matchup. Moving on to the next matchup, we got Bruno Silva versus Charles Johnson. And I'm going to go ahead and pick Charles Johnson here. And I actually feel pretty confident that he's going to win. Now, he could be a little bit chalky at these odds, especially, with his history. But he's coming off a knockout loss, which was pretty bad to Alex Perez. But I think Alex Perez is actually sneakily really good. And, Bruno Silva, on the other hand, I think he has a round one in him here where he could beat Charles Johnson, but I really think that if Charles Johnson makes it out of the first round of this fight, he will look like a minus 400, minus 500 favorite, and it's going to be like freebie. So I'm going to bet on Charles Johnson to win this fight. I'm going to have action on him as well. I think that, he is like a guy who loves the range, loves the height. He has a real height advantage here. He has a real reach advantage here against Bruno Silva. Bruno Silva shouldn't be able to, have an insane grappling edge on Charles Johnson here. Obviously, Silva will have like the grappling advantage, but I just don't think it'll be far enough for him to actually go out and just grapple the fuck out of Charles Johnson. So I like energy to win this one. I think it's going to be primarily a striking fight. Silva can crack, so he could potentially land that knockout blow, but let's not act like Charles Johnson didn't go toe-to-toe with Joshua Van and then knock him out in the third round. Let's not act like this guy didn't knock out Loner Kavanagh 2 fights ago. So Charles Johnson has real wins way better than Bruno Silva. Bruno Silva does not have a win that kind of matches up to either Loner Kavanagh or Joshua Van, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, he's losing to good fighters, of course. Like, he's losing to, Manoel, Joshua Van, of course. But at the same time, he's not beating people like Josh Van. He's not beating people like Loner Kavanagh. He's beating Hyun-Sung Park, which is like, a level below. But Charles Johnson would destroy Hyun-Sung Park too. So give me energy to win this one. Like I said, he could get knocked out in the first, but the second he doesn't get knocked out in the first and he gets that jab going, he's, gets in range, gets in rhythm on the feet, he's going to look like a minus 500 favorite. So give me energy. Let's move on to the next matchup. Moving on to the next matchup, we got Brad Tavares versus Eryk Anders, and I'm going with Brad Tavares to win this one by decision. These are, two 38-year-old fighters. This is actually the definition of a fight that actually just doesn't fucking matter. They're just putting a fight on the card just to put a fight on the card. And Brad Tavares in this matchup should be able to kind of stop the takedown. If he keeps this fight on the feet, I don't see how he loses this one. At least at kicking range, he should be able to rack up points easily. I don't know how Eryk Anders kind of pieces him up on the feet. It's just not possible in my eyes. So I think that Brad Tavares has to stop the takedown here, which I think he does. And if Eryk Anders can't get this fight to the ground, man, there's really not much he can do in this matchup. So give me Tavares to win this one by decision. I don't know why the line is actually pretty close. I think that money's actually coming in on the Anders side. I think he was a bigger underdog, and now it's basically pick 'em. So give me Brad Tavares here. The line's moving in the opposite direction for me, though, so maybe there's something I'm missing. I haven't played this. Maybe I will play it just because, Tavares, especially if he flips to plus money, might seem like a little bit more attractive to me. But at the end of the day, like I said, two 38-year-old guys. Neither of them, in any title contention or any ranking or anything like that. So none of this even matters. It's just a fight, just to have a fight. Maybe I will play Tavares, but I don't normally like betting on that when there's really nothing on the line. I feel like, that's where weird shit could potentially happen. So I'm going to pick Tavares by decision. Haven't played it yet. Maybe I will, but let's move on to the next matchup. Moving on to the next matchup, we got Chris Curtis versus Myktybek Orolbai, and I'm going to go with Myktybek Orolbai to win this one. Now, I think he has a lighter man skill in this weight class at welterweight. Chris Curtis actually coming the other way down into welterweight from middleweight. So I think there are some advantages for Orolbai here. He's been in the ring with lightweights, and I think that's just a completely different game than middleweights. On top of that, Orolbai has real power in this matchup. He is the better grappler in this matchup. I think that he also has more activity and volume on the feet. Chris Curtis can be low output at times. So I think Chris Curtis will just kind of let this fight slip away as he normally does. I think Orolbai gets this one done, but Curtis is pretty good at, staying kind of composed, staying safe. So I think he can ride out an entire decision here against Orolbai, but I don't think Curtis gets this one done. I like Orolbai, and I even like the odds here. I think it could be a little bit chalky, but below minus 300, I've played Myktybek Orolbai, and I will play him in that range. So give me Myktybek Orolbai to get this one done by decision. Let's move on to the next matchup. Moving on to the next matchup, we got Bolaji Oki versus Manoel Sousa, and this is the toughest fight on the card to predict, in my opinion. I'm going to go with Manoel Sousa to win this one. But, I see this being a tale of two fights for the most part. I think that Bolaji Oki wins the early rounds here, and then Manoel Sousa should be able to take over late in this fight. Now, this could mean there's like a multitude of ways this plays out with, Oki winning early, Sousa winning late, but, not being enough. Oki just putting Sousa away early. Sousa could put Oki away late. He could take over on the scorecards late in the fight. But the reason why I lean Sousa is because I also think that Sousa could also put Oki away earlier on in this fight. So I think Sousa's live the entire time, but I think Oki has a shorter window to, win this fight, whether that be by finish or, rack up enough points to win the scorecards. I think Oki's window is smaller. So give me Manoel Sousa to win this one. But, it's a UFC debut, a fight that I don't know if I have the best read on. So like I said, one of the tougher fights on the card for me to predict, but I'm going to lean Manoel Sousa because I think his window to win is the entire 15 minutes. But I don't think Bolaji Oki's window to win is longer than maybe 8 minutes in this fight. So give me Manoel Sousa to win this one. Let's move on to the next matchup. Moving on to the next matchup, we got Luan Lacerda versus Hecher Sousa, and Hecher Sousa is 14-1, minus 230 going into his UFC debut here, coming off the Contender Series, so a little bit chalky, but I'm going to pick Hecher Sousa to win this fight. I think that, Luan Lacerda is fairly one-dimensional. He's got 13 professional wins, 11 of which come by submission, 2 come by decision. He's got 0 knockouts in his career. And if he just doesn't get this fight into his wheelhouse, into the jiu-jitsu, he's going to struggle. And I think Hecher Sousa, with a deep amateur background, 15 pro fights before joining the UFC, he is seasoned in the sense of he has the time inside the cage. He knows what he's doing to some degree. And I think that he'll know that not to play towards Luan Lacerda's strengths here. And I think if he doesn't get into the jiu-jitsu wheelhouse, Sousa should be able to win this fight on the feet and kind of wherever it goes from there. So give me Hecher Sousa to stay safe. I took Alberto Montez as a UFC debut last week. It paid off pretty well, but I'm really high on Montez. I know a lot of people are really high on Montez now, but I was really high on Montez before the fight last week. Not as high on Hecher Sousa as Montez, of course, but I think he does get this one done. And I think Luan Lacerda isn't the toughest UFC debut. So I think this is a good spot for Sousa. I'm going to pick him to win. Let's move on to the next matchup. Moving on to the next matchup, we got Bia Mesquita versus Montserrat Rendon. And I'm going to keep this one short. Bia Mesquita is minus 800 on the books at this point. I'm going to pick her to win. She should be able to get a takedown here and then do whatever she wants. She could win this by ground or pound or submission. So I'd be kind of careful if you're going to go here and just spam a Bia Mesquita by submission. I could see a world where she wins this fight by ground and pound, but at the end of the day, I think she gets this fight to the ground fairly quickly, and when she does get it to the ground, she will find a finish. So I think it's going to be a short fight, short breakdown either way. Montserrat Rendon is a decent boxer, but that's kind of about it. And in this fight, it shouldn't matter because Mesquita should be able to do whatever she wants with her on the ground. So give me Bia Mesquita to win inside the distance. Let's move on to the next matchup. Moving on to the next matchup, we got Elijah Smith versus Su Young Yu, and I'm going with Elijah Smith to win this one. And I actually think his line is, fairly playable here. I think that, overall, Su Young Yu is going to really need this fight to be on the ground. I think he does have a slight grappling advantage on Elijah Smith here, but the issue is, and the reason why I say slight, because I think from a technical perspective, Su Young Yu is a far more technical grappler, but the issue is that Elijah Smith is just more athletic, more explosive, and if Su Young Yu does get a takedown and does try to advance position and give Elijah Smith even the slightest opening to explode up, Smith will take that and just outmuscle Su Young Yu in this matchup. So I think that Smith will be able to do what he wants with Su Young Yu here on the feet. Elijah Smith will be way too sharp for Su Young Yu. So I think that overall, Elijah Smith does find a decision win in this matchup. Maybe he finds a knockout, but Elijah Smith does take his time, and it's not like he's out there just kind of straight up just running through people. So give me Elijah Smith to win this one by decision. Let's move on to the next matchup. Moving on to the next matchup, we got Sam Hughes versus Piero Rodriguez in the first fight of the early prelims, and I think this card kicks off with an underdog win in Sam Hughes getting it done. Now, this is a rematch, and I think since the last time these two fought, Sam Hughes has definitely gotten better than Piero Rodriguez has in that time. I think her takedown defense has also improved since then. I think that Piero Rodriguez, obviously, she wanted to get this fight to the ground. On the feet, the thing I really like about Sam Hughes, and just not even on the feet, but in general in these fights, is Sam Hughes is always active. 15 minutes of straight activity. So if you're not going to put Sam Hughes away, beating her by decision is going to be something really interesting. If you look at Sam Hughes, leading up to this fight, she got a couple split decision wins against, Victoria Dudakova, which obviously that's a little bit less impressive, but Stephanie Luciano is an impressive split decision win. Now, if Piero Rodriguez doesn't get this fight to the ground, this definitely will be interesting, because I think this is going to be another split decision for Sam Hughes. A good bet on a Sam Hughes fight is fight to go split decision, because with her, it's always going to be like a close fight where she just does a little bit more. She doesn't really have any power, so it's not like she's like rocking people or hurting them, but she just punching them a little bit more. Maybe she eats a little bit of the bigger shots, so it's kind of hard to score the fight. But overall, this fight goes the distance, and I'm going to take Sam Hughes in a very close split decision to win this one. And that does it for all the picks and predictions for UFC Vegas 114. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed the breakdowns, hit a like on the video, share with one of your friends, and tell me in the comments which one of my picks you agree with, which ones you're fading. Like I said in the past, we've been doing extremely well in 2026. You can check out, I'm sure if you watch this channel, you know about UFC Prediction Tracker. If you don't, search that up on YouTube. Check that guy out. You can see our results for 2026. We've been up there in the ranks. I think we're like top 5 in the ranks. Maybe we're just top 6 right now. We were top 3 before. Had not even a shaky week, but things move quick, at least earlier on in the year. So we're up there in the rankings. We're a really solid prediction channel. If you want to see our actual bets for each fight card, it also helps, make these videos. It's on kopicks.com for $20 a month. You can see every single bet I'm placing on these fights as well. But obviously, I will continue to give you guys these picks for free as usual. I love making these videos. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Good luck to everyone on their bets, and I will see you guys next weekend.